Well, thanks for coming by. This will be about 15 minutes. We're going to go over a case study that we worked on a couple of years ago on managed shared drives. We'll do the methodology. Most of this will be about the methodology, some of the outcomes, and lessons learned. So this was a mid-sized oil and gas company. They had grown very quickly. They had failed a few industry audits. They had difficulty locating electronic documents, and they were acquiring more. The business was growing, so there were going to be even more problems. And they need to do something. They need to do it fast. So just to give you an idea of the size of their group, there was about 10 full-time records management staff, about 60 full-time IT. They employed basic RM principles. SharePoint was in limited use, not widespread, and LiveLink was coming down the pipe. So as you might know or understand, the shared drive had morphed into this huge, big black hole. It was loosely based, somewhat based on organizational units. There was no consistency, duplication everywhere. Entire folders were duplicated in various places. Permissions were either tight as a drum or wide open. There was no consistency as to what they used to do. They relied on big open public folders to share information. So again, no controls over the information they were sharing, and ultimately no one source of truth. So overall, the approach was clean up the shared drives. Clean up the shared drives, have a consistent folder structure, and not only do that, build the methodology that could be repeated over and over and over again in each of the groups. So start small. Don't try to do the whole company at once. Train staff. Hit the big priority areas first. And what we all may not want to hear, but our records management had to stay in the background. So don't hit them over the head with records management principles. We're just cleaning up the shared drives. And then once things were organized, take the key areas, the priority document areas, and then be able to migrate them over into a document management system or SharePoint. So don't try to solve all the world's problems. Just pick your battles. And then, of course, the document management system, they'd be stored securely, keyword searches, attribution, metadata standards, all that type of thing on just the critical collections. So the methodology, the first step was to build a framework. The framework was a critical first step, and it's based on an organizational unit, but you wanted something so that you could build all the subsequent folders after that. So it had to be universal. I'll show you an example, the next slide. Simple and logical. So whether you went and clicked on human resources, your next view would be the same as if you went into finance, clicked on finance, your next view would be the same. So it would be like a common structure under each organizational unit. And when you do this correctly, you only do it once. So here's an example of a sample framework. So the department names up top, and then there was business, management and admin, governance, but depending on your organization, this may, be different depending on your group. The folder structures that we're talking about all come under this. So the framework was level 1. Level 2 and 3 would be the customized folder structures for that department. It's customized to each department or area. It's the stuff we do all the time as records managers. We organize folders. we design folder structures. So this is what we're doing at level 2 and level 3. Same thing that we do for the paper. We're doing it based on the electronic documents in the shared drive. Correlated, to bring it back, if you've got a functional classification system or a subject-based classification system, you want to correlate it to that structure. I don't know if many of you have a standard classification structure in place. And then bring it back to the users and say, does this meet your needs? Does this folder structure meet your needs based on the levels 2 and 3? The level 1 is standard. So here's an example of a folder structure. This is empty. This is just the skeleton. And it's based on the first level 1, you see the business, management and admin, governance, and then the folder structures under that. That was built just on their needs and what they had in their shared drives to begin with. Does everybody understand? The permissions, right? That's another part of this. This isn't a file room, it's the shared drive, so you've got to look at the permissions. It was an opportunity to clean them up, to follow the SOX requirements. The IT department loved this because it reduced their work. They weren't getting calls all the time about, I need access to this folder. It was already set up. Then the implementation, you create the folder structure, apply the permissions, and you just name the root folder differently. So if you were creating this for, say, a human resources department, you'd have at the root new human resources, because you can't have two folders at the root. The implementation, there was so many ways that this was done, and every group had their own spin on it, because you have to remember, they're doing the work, not us. So they're doing the work. They decide. They want to have a big party and have pizza, and everybody sit around a training room and work on their own folders. Some groups did that. Some groups, they'd get together every month and they would spend 2 hours and work on this together. Some groups, they just said, you do it for us and just do it. We don't want to know, just do it. So every group was unique, and you have to really work with them to determine how they want to do it. Then really a big event. We're doing it. We're cleaning up the shared drive. The new structure's in place. Have handouts. There's some people that don't know how to rename a folder. There's people that don't know how to move or copy a folder. So you can't make all these big assumptions about what people can or can't do. And that's a whole know your audience. And then you monitor and assist. You from afar, you go in, you look, see how they're doing, gentle nudging and coaching. It's all a very soft sell, iron fist and a velvet glove. And then progress report as much as you can. The completion, they pick their completion date. You delete old source directories, which are now empty. They've moved everything to the new, and then rename the new one, drop the new, and they're back to square one with a clean, beautiful shared drive. So post-completion, 6 to 9 months, you need to review and sign off their garbage can or their eTrim delete folder. I think I skipped over that too fast, but you set up an eTrim or a delete folder, and they can just plow everything into that. So there's the 8 simple steps. This took about 18 months. There were 2 part-time resources working on this. We did 25 groups or departments, 531 users, and millions of documents and counting. It was very successful. The users loved it. The benefits, their compliance went up, they met their audit challenges, managed their risk, the permissions were cleaned up, They now knew where the information was, this whole knowledge management. They could share and collaborate and not reinvent the wheel all the time. And they were ready to move critical collections off to other technologies. I think number one lesson was keep it department level, and that's manageable. Don't try and do everybody everywhere, and do your quick wins or your critical collections. The benefits for senior managers were easy because they always went into the shared drive. They didn't have to look for the benefits. They could just see them every day. The users were extremely positive. I think everybody's frustrated by this shared drive black hole issue, and they were so positive when they could see the difference. High level of ownership, these were their documents, and they took responsibility for cleaning them up. And that because they participated, now they maintained it. It wasn't like we came in, we did it for them, and left. They did it, so they kept it up. And the change management was really critical as well. Absolutely that they had to clean up before migrating documents to a document management system. You can't automate a mess, and we've all been there, tried to do that, and failed. We thought the broken links, so for some of them, say Excel spreadsheets that were linked, we thought, oh no. The benefits outweighed the downside, and they just said, that's fine, we'll just re-establish those links. And again, that was a surprise to us, but they didn't care. And if they cared, they would go fix the links. The statistics were misleading because if a folder had very few documents in it, it's because they were hoarding them in a personal folder. So rather than go down, things went up because everybody started pulling things out of their little secret stashes, even the C drive sometimes, God forbid. And that we really needed to train the IT staff on the folder structures and the permissions. That was something we didn't anticipate. We thought they knew it all. So that's it.